Do I have a green light?
Yeah, you can start.
Good. Thank you. So guys, today I will be talking about experience individualization. So my question is, how many of you have used Sitecore personalization features? Oh, yeah, most of you. Okay, how many of you have created custom personalization rules? Go on. Good. So yeah, today I would say that the topic is mixed between a technical and a strategy topic. But first of all, I'll start with the definition. What exactly experience individualization means? So, experience individualization means serving a unique, tailored experience to each visitor across different channels. That means that the experience of the website, or actually the brand, across all the channels should be individual for every single visitor. Facebook is a really good example of that. My Facebook post is unique, it's quite different from yours, and it's tailored according to my preferences. So, what can be individualized? Pretty much the same things that can be personalized can be individualized. So the content of the website can be personalized, the layout can be personalized, how exactly we see the website. The digital assets like the content that we produce, the images, the videos, everything can be individualized for every single visitor. The point of contact, for instance, some people prefer to chat over social media, others prefer to use instant messengers, others prefer to use the email channel. So everybody is unique, and that's why we should have a unique approach to every single individual. The point of sale is another unique thing for all the visitors. For instance, some people prefer to buy things online, others offline. Now, social media is a really popular e-commerce channel as well. So all the different people have different point of sales. The digital channels that we use are actually unique as well. For instance, I use social media a lot. Elder people or older people would use more like email channels or like web channels, etc. So, why we pretty much individualize? So, the same reasons why pretty much we personalize. To increase the engagement with our brand, to increase the conversions or the conversion rate, visit versus conversion, to increase the brand loyalty, to increase the client satisfaction, and to reduce the marketing costs. It's always better to have only a few site visitors, but all of them to purchase items, or most of them to purchase items from your website. Some numbers here. So, check. 98% of visitors leave the online shop without purchasing. So, I'm spending a bunch of money to get some visitors on my website, and only 2% of them actually purchase something. This is the problem, right? So 68% of the checkout of the carts are abandoned. That means that 68% of the site visitors put some items in their cart without checking out. Again, a really big issue for the marketers. So 92% of consumers visit the website for the first time aren't there to buy. That means that the visitor just comes to check what you have without the idea of buying. What does it mean? That means that the demand generation, pretty much pitching the right products, pitching it at the right time, it's your job. Like they're there just to check. If you're going to engage them, it's the next step. So who uses that approach? You know Facebook, you know Google, you know Netflix. For instance, on Netflix, the content for me, the movies that are being suggested to my profile are quite different because I watch different series. The Spotify, again, the same actually. YouTube, which is owned by Google, the same. Coca-Cola, Pfizer, even in the pharma industry, they use experience individualization. Amazon.com is a really nice example. Amazon doesn't have a homepage. The homepage is unique to each visitor according to your purchase history, to your region, to the combination of the previous visits of the website and visit of other websites, etc. Okay, but here the question is, what's wrong with the classic personalization? And here, to give you an example, I will invite Nicola. Nicole, please join me here. Okay, guys, I will ask him 5 questions. Okay. So, Nicole, how old are you?
29.
Where do you live?
Sofia.
What's your job?
What's my job? Developer.
Okay. How many years? How many years have you been working as a developer or as a
10.
technician? 10 years. Okay. And how many? I don't know. For how long have you been with your fiance or wife?
It's getting personal.
6 years.
6 years. Okay, good. So here, for me, we'll compare Nicole and myself. I'm together with my fiance for 6, 7, 8 years. I work in the same industry actually. I have a similar position as his. I'm a developer in the end of the day. I live in Sofia as well, and I'm 29 years old. In
I'm not buying the shit he's buying. But
yes. In 9 out of 10 cases, we will match the same persona here with Nicole. But we have our buying habits. I still remember 5 years ago, I bought a quite nice at that time SUV, and the day after he bought a computer for the same price. As my SUV. What I'm trying to say is that the personas are not a silver bullet. As you can see, we have different habits, we have different buyer behavior, but we are almost the same. We have almost the same profile. That doesn't mean that we will buy the same things at the same time. Thank you, Nicole.
thank you.
So definitely, the persona approach is not that, but it's not a silver bullet. If you just create the personas and map the journeys for the different personas, this is not enough. This is not enough nowadays. So here is a small list of symptoms for a non-individualized experience. Actually, how's bounce rate? A lot of people come to your website and in the very first second they close it. Bad conversion rate, for instance. You have many site visitors, but just few of them pretty much buy something from your store. Visitors don't follow the journeys, and this is the problem that I see every single time actually. We define super cool user journeys, we know where are the different channels, where the people will come from, where they will go to, and just after when we check the path analyzer, it has nothing to do with our journey. This is the super often case, often problem. So the actual results are on only one channel. If only one digital channel works for you, this is a bad sign. Why? Because that means that only one type of people are buying from you, are your audience. The others don't interact with your brand. And high marketing costs, so the rate between the spendings and actually the actual result should be shouldn't cost a lot. That means that a single purchase shouldn't cost a lot marketing costs. And if you evaluate that the marketing costs are really high, most probably you should chase a better user experience, individualization. Good. So this is experience individualization. This is cool, right? But how to do it? This is the question. And now I will go through 7 steps that we have defined in SoftServe in order to get a better experience individualization. So, step number 1, check where you are. You should check your starting point and you should define your KPIs, what you should do. What we do is actually we use the customer experience maturity model by Sitecore. They have a journey, they have a way to evaluate where exactly you are. Here in purple, you can see the first 3 phases actually. They're part of a bigger phase which is called initiate or adopt. Actually, they're pretty much company starts using marketing tools for the very first time. For instance, some analytics tools, for instance, some marketing automation tools, tool for email campaigns, etc., etc. But they still don't connect the different experiences and they don't tailor unique content for the different marketing segments. The second phase, which is convert actually, the orange phase, is where companies start tailoring specific content for the specific audiences. but there still don't connect the experiences between the different channels. For instance, you know, have a 360 degree of the customer, what he is doing in social media, what he is doing in the website, what he is doing, for instance, in YouTube or in other video channels. And the last phase, which is pretty much advocate, is where you gain brand loyalty. There you use machine learning, there you use pretty much the different channels, and you tailor the experience in a similar way in all the different channels. This is the phase, this is pretty much the phase where all the companies want to be. So once you check where exactly you are, for instance, if you're here in Radiate, you should go to a wine, and your next steps is optimize. And here comes the different tools. For instance, if you're on a wine phase, you should start using personalization and probably marketing automation across different digital channels. So here you should be looking pretty much from some business or marketing consultancy where you can have where they can help you to successfully adopt personalization. Because applying just a few rules in your home banner doesn't mean that the personalization works the best for you. Good. The second step is actually to choose the right channels. You can't start individualization from the very beginning. You should start small, and in order to do that, you should check which channel can allow you to do that. So in order to start personalization or individualization, pretty much you need enough audience. You need to have enough people to test your content against, to check how your different campaigns resonate, to start using personalization. So in many cases, this channel actually is web, but in my experience, I have some cases where the first channel for personalization and individualization is email as well. Mobile, like personalization on mobile devices, as you know, is something new to the Martin and to Sitecore. Social media as well is a really good channel, especially if you target young people. They're crazy about social media, and all the others. Step number 3, segment your audience. You should separate pretty much the people which are in your sales or marketing network. How? Mihail, in our last session, already covered the different types of personalization and segmentation that you can use. So you have some demographics, something about preferences, something about the transactions, the behavior, etc. But the important thing is that you should segment by various criteria. You should, one, separate your people by demographics, probably for gender and location, just after about their preferences, the things that they like, just after maybe for their transactions. And here I want to wonder why the transaction. Because one of the most important and most successful factors for personalization actually is the purchase history. There is nothing better there is no better place to understand what are the customer preferences than the transaction history, than pretty much the purchase history. And some other things like the psychometric profiling. You know that different content can resonate with the different personality types. For instance, if you use the methodology DISC or Ocean, and of course the digital channels, because as I mentioned before, different people prefer different channels. Good. The first step here is to tailor your assets actually. And here the important stuff is that for every single segment that you have created, because for instance for demographics you will have 5 segments, for preferences you may have, I don't know, 10 if you have 10 different types of products. For instance, you should tailor the content for each of the segments in the different segmentations. That means that you should have, for instance, here 5 types of content, here again 4 or 5 types of content. You should tailor it explicitly for the segmented groups. So one important thing here is to tag your content actually. Because if you don't do that, if you don't separate the content in your content tree somehow and make it easy, make it searchable and easy accessible, you're going to fail. At some point you will not know which content for which exact segment it is. Here we recommend different taxonomy families. like for every single segmentation here to have a separate taxonomy family. That means that you have taxonomies for the different locations, for the different markets. They can be like EMEA, like Americas, and like EPAC, for instance. You should have different taxonomy families for the customer transactions. That means for people that buy this type of products, for other people that buy other type of products, etc. Psychometric profiling here, I highly recommend you to have a tagging family or taxonomy family for the different personality types, if you're using this, or if you're using Quotient or the 16 personalities, or one of the new methodologies which are popular right now, just to choose a methodology and to tag the content for extroverts, for instance, for introverts, and for other personality types as well. Something important about your assets and your assets creation is verify that your assumptions about the content are right. Verify that the content you're creating for the different segments really resonates well with these segments. What does it mean? That means that, for instance, if you're creating content for extroverts, go to some of your site visitors and ask them explicitly, I'm writing this blog post, do you find it interesting? Simple as that. If you interview your visitors or part of your visitors, actually, this will definitely improve your content authoring process. Okay, step number 5, one of the most important ones. Personalize, but how? Let's take the 5 segments the 5 segmentations that I just explained: psychometric profiling, behavior, demographics, transaction, and preferences. You see that website? It's a mock-up of a classic website homepage. Here on the right, you can see that, for instance, my hero is being personalized according to the demographics criteria. For instance, the market that they're coming from, the age, etc., etc. On the other hand, the layout of the website itself is pretty much personalized according to psychometrical profiling. That means that, for instance, I have defined 4 different types of personalities, and I have different layout for each of them. This call to action button by now is personalized according to a behavior criteria. The others, these small items here, are pretty much personalized according to your preference, or the items that you have in your wish list, for example, or the news that you're subscribed. And this small, again, call to action button or promotion button here, this is pretty much personalized according to the transaction segmentation or according to the transaction rules. What happens as a result now? Let's calculate. For demographics, you have 4 different variants. For preferences, you have 3 different variants. For transactions, 5 variants because you have 5 types of products, let's say. Behavior 2 and psychometric 4. So that means that your homepage, only the homepage, has 480 different variants. That means that 480 the site visitors will receive unique experience. And this is only for the homepage. We are not talking about the other landing pages or the other product pages. We are talking about homepage only. If we combine that with the email channel, if we combine that with the other pages which are on the website, if we apply more segmentation, for instance, not to segment only according to these 5 different criteria, but to segment to additional 5 or even 10 that you can segment your customers, the experience of your website or of your brand will be unique to each individual visitor, as it is, for instance, for Amazon. And actually, guys, ladies and gentlemen, the retail business has really big issues. Why? Because Amazon is killing everything, literally. Every single web store is going down and down every single month because every single transaction goes from Amazon.com, really. And why the retailers right now they don't have other options actually. They will start adopting first content personalization and just after experience individualization, or they will die. They don't have other choice. So the sixth step here is test and optimize. And as you can see here, this should be a continuous, even an exercise for forever. Why? Because always you have the option for serving a better experience, for serving a better content. I really like the fact that the A/B testing features of Sitecore are integrated with the workflow, because marketers can pretty much really easy use the A/B testing and check if the new version, for instance, the new variant of the hero carousel is pretty much better than the previous one, because it's not obvious. Here, some of my hints are to start slow. Don't start with all this personalization, from all this personalization criteria from the very beginning. This is the desired result, but this is not something that you can start from. Why? Because if you don't know your audience, for example, you couldn't pretty much predict how every single personalization here works and what are the actual results. You should start from personalizing just one component. Just see how your audience pretty much reacts on that. Start with the second component. Just after, introduce another segmentation and another personalization criteria. Again, test why you find the best match for your different segments or your different audiences. And testing and optimization pretty much should be a continuous process. You should never stop testing the new variants of your content, and you should never pretty much stop applying A/B testing. You should fail fast. For instance, if you have an assumption which is not correct, you should fail from the very beginning. You should see that in the very first week this content doesn't resonate well with your audience and that you need to change it. And always challenge your assumptions. The things that you assume might not be true. This is super important. Good. What is this? The seventh step of the experience individualization journey. This is to connect the different channels. It's really complicated if you start personalization on different channels because you can't track the results accurately. But once you know your different audiences, once you know the people that you should target, once you know what type of content resonates better with the different segments, you can start connecting the different channels, having your information and pretty much pitching the content in a similar word. What does it mean? That means that the overall experience of the customers should be similarly the same for the different segments across the different channels. That means that if persona or if a human called, I don't know, Nicole for example, wants to purchase something online or from social media, the experience should be similar. The experience should be almost the same. Why? Because we already know that this experience resonates well with Nicola, and we know that he has purchased items from our web shop using that approach.
My laptop is from Amazon. No,
I think so. Good. We have individualized our experience. Everybody buys from our store. We're super happy. 25% of our site visitors actually purchase items, or at least write a review or something. What's next? The next big thing is artificial intelligence for the MarTech industry. All these things that we do manually right now, for instance, the segmentation, this is a really good pretty much example. So the segmentation is not the task for humans. Humans are not really good in segmenting or in pretty much making decisions according to historical data. Machines are better in that. They can find other segments. They can pretty much use machine learning algorithms in order to find segments that you haven't even imagined. That's why the next steps for all these steps that you see here is these steps shouldn't be handled by marketers, by humans. They should be managed by humans, but they should be handled by machines, by artificial intelligence. As you know, with the latest version of Sitecore, they released Sitecore Fortis, and there you have two really interesting things. The first thing is pretty much automated tagging and taxonomy. It can extract the key topics from your content and suggest your tagging and taxonomy families on its own, which is super cool. But it's not market unique because together with that guy over there, we did that, I don't know, 5 years ago or something. And the other thing which is more interesting is automated segmentation rules suggestions. Sitecore can pretty much suggest you different segments of visitors that you don't have as part of your release manager in your segmentation rules. This is super good because it can suggest literally things that you haven't imagined before. And I would say that that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you have questions or comments?
Have you used the last one that you spoke about?
In production setup, no. Yeah. But yeah, we're performing some tests, and actually we're building a tool which is on top of Sitecore Cortex. It will be available soon. Two, yes.
Two websites.
Yeah. We call it a sales accelerator.
And this is on
Originally, we will do pretty much on Microsoft Machine Learning Server, which is similar to Azure Machine Learning, but we are going to test other approaches just afterwards. As you know, for Sitecore Cortex, the machine learning algorithm or even the machine learning framework is abstracted out, so you can easily plug in other machine learning frameworks. And I'm happy that in our company we have a center of excellence for pretty much, we call it intelligent enterprise. And there we have 200 machine learning engineers, and we work closely together in order to define the best model for the different things that we use in our experience management platform. It's quite nice to work there. Good? Other questions? So, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Нека направим още една почивка за около 10 минути и след това ще направим.
Нас показвате презентацията.